In this video, we're going to take a look at the Noodler's Konrad. Now let's jump straight to the end with my thoughts on this pen. For some reason that I really can't nail down, this is my least favorite of the Noodler's pens to use. It's not that I have any real issue using it. I don't find it uncomfortable. I just, for some reason, don't enjoy using this one as much as I do the other pens made by Noodlers. Now, with that, this nib is changed out for a Fountain Pen Revolution broad nib, and I'm not looking at the Noodler's nib in this, not for any reason other than that's not the nib I keep in this pen. Now, originally, the reason this nib is even here is because I was playing around with stone paper back a long time ago when that was the thing, just to see if there was any kind of real negative effect. And this is the nib that was there. And outside of occasionally using it for reviews, I don't use this pen. I don't find it, for me, especially attractive to go use. I think the finish is beautiful. I just don't get drawn to using it at all. Now that we know my feelings on the Noodler's Konrad, let's see how I got to that opinion, starting with the unboxing. The Noodler's Konrad comes in a box like this. I do appreciate quite a bit the streamlined packaging that Noodler's uses, and this uses that same packaging. It's the same box, but the paper that comes inside is different. I like that in keeping the cost down. With the pen out of the box, we need to get to the nib. Now, as long as it doesn't take 20 turns to uncap a pen, I generally don't care. So, how many turns does it take to uncap this pen? The Noodler's Konrad takes 1, 2 1/4 turns to uncap. I find the 2 1/4 turns that it takes to uncap this pen to be excessive to make it really easy. So with that, I do run in a little bit of difficulty with that. Maybe that's one of the reasons that I don't use this pen very often. That's a lot of turns. I would love to see them be able to get this, I don't know, down to 1 3/4. I'm sure we can do something to fix that, because that's a lot. This gets us to the nib. This pen has a steel Fountain Pen Revolution broad nib. I mentioned it earlier that the nib in this pen is a Fountain Pen Revolution broad nib. So I did put an Indian-made nib into an Indian-made pen. One of the things I do like about it is it's very easy to heat set this, which makes it easy to swap it out for other number 6 size nibs. If you enjoy videos like this, then be sure to hit the subscribe button. Now, let's ink this pen up. The Noodler's Konrad is a piston fill fountain pen that holds approximately 1.2 milliliters of ink. The ink of the day is Sailor Valentine Chocolate Brown. Frequently, we'll hear that something is a piston filler, giving the idea that it holds more ink because of being a piston filler. Now, it does hold quite a bit more than a converter, but it's 1.2 mils. That's not a massive amount of ink, though for most people, it's plenty. And I do think the cost of the pen and it being a piston filler is a very nice thing for someone to try that out. As a habit, I don't normally post my pens, But some pens need to be posted to be used comfortably, and some people prefer to post their pens. This pen does post nice and deep, absolutely secure. It's not a problem. It's not way too large. It's got the band to help protect the cap from cracking. I don't find that I need to. It's long enough, it's thick enough to be very comfortable in the hand, but if you wanted to post it, you absolutely could. Now, the important part, the writing sample. I said this wasn't one of my favorite pens to use in writing, and that is very much true. I can point out a few things that are very nice about it. The flare at the end of the section definitely helps keep your fingers right where so they don't come down onto the nib. I do find the section on mine to be a little slippery, but it's not something that interferes with my writing. The threads aren't sharp. I don't have a problem, even though my fingers, my hold, tend to go over the thread. I can't really talk on the nib in this case, though I have used the Noodler's nibs. I don't have a problem with their nibs. The fact that the nib that comes on the pen is not tipped does mean that you can expect it to be, I'm going to go ahead and call it scratchy, but it's not out of any kind of alignment issue, not for me anyway, but there's no tipping, and it's not a stub. Now, it is their flex nib, so it means you could squeeze some of the line variation out. If you so choose, it does take a bit more pressure than people would like to have to use, but it's not bad. I just don't find this pen to be something that I pick up a whole lot, and I really do wish I could nail it down. Now, I think the blind cap that's on there is very nice, and I think there's a lot of very neat ideas about being able to use that blind cap inside the cap so that it doesn't get lost as a place to keep it safely. That does mean that you could accidentally unscrew some, but I think to accidentally unscrew the blind cap into your cap takes a lot of turns, and you're really going out of your way to do it. A great thing is you fully disassemble this pen by hand. You don't need any kind of tools. And for people that really want to fully disassemble pens a lot, that's a really good thing. But I do have to come back to that for some reason, unknown really to me, I can't nail it down, this is not a pen I go to use a whole lot. It's just nowhere near the top of my personal list. Now for something a bit more standard in comparing writing size. I use Namiki Blue to do this. Now here it is with a Yovo Extra Fine on the left, medium in the middle, and a 1.1 stub on the right. What we saw in the comparison was with the Fountain Pen Revolution broad nib. So the good news is their nibs are writing as a broad the way you would expect it. No real surprise there. But how does it compare in writing size to other nibs I've used? Looking at the writing of a Noodler's Konrad with a Fountain Pen Revolution broad nib, here it is next to a TWSBI VAC 700 with a Fountain Pen Revolution broad nib, a Platinum 3776 with a broad nib, a Sailor Pro Gear Riello with a broad nib, a Lamy All-Star with a broad nib, an Aurora Optima with a broad nib, and a Levenger True Writer also with a broad nib. So it isn't a review without some size comparisons. Here it is capped, here it is uncapped, and here it is posted. In terms of its size, I really think of this as a very average size pen, which is a strong point. A lot of pens are this size. The Platinum 3776, about the same size. A Sailor 1911 Large, about the same size. So it is very helpful that it really does fall in the size of a lot of other pens, making it easy to choose if this is what you're after. At this point, we have a dirty pen, so let's go clean it out. Be sure to check out the next pen review video where we're going to look at the Pelikan M805. If you want to be able to support not just my channel, but any reviewer, then when you make a purchase, be sure to tell that retailer where you heard about it. Thanks for watching.